Hi and welcome. This is Angela. So today in the live, I'm going to share a question with you about who are we moving forward as a collective, as a species. So when I grew up, this concept of the collective was more in the alternative lifestyle movement. But as we're moving forward with technology and the advance of artificial intelligence, and even from the science fiction traditions with concepts from Star Trek like the Borg, there's these ideas of a collective consciousness that's now becoming part of popular culture. So my question for us today comes from a question which the ancients have asked for millennia, but who are we as a species? What is it that we are putting forward into the world and into our future? So a lot of us at the moment may feel at the whim of a lot of that collective. There's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence creating things that we won't be able to control. And even the peak creators of artificial intelligence have explained that they don't know the future of their own creation. So it's a very great moment for us as a species to really start to face what is it that we can create as a collective and what can't we control. What are the things that we might be able to prepare for, but what are the things that we don't feel ready for? And I'm going to share some strategies from movement today that will help you to feel more relaxed and centered in your body, and they work around our belly center. So we dance with this in movement all the time. Movement is a non-verbal practice. It's not something that you can think about and do at the same time. Movement is about fully embodying things such as your center, your core. Once I had a student ask me, what is the core? And I thought it was a very profound question. So in summary, the core for me is not our abs, and it's not just the pelvic floor and how it supports all of the organs up until the diaphragm. It's not just muscles. Our core is actually our whole center channel that relates us through the love of the gravity of our solar system connected to the sun and anchors us into the center of Earth. So our core is comprised of muscles, is comprised of diaphragms, moving from the pelvic floor diaphragm up to the diaphragm in our brain that supports the brain as well. But our core is actually much, much bigger, and it's in relation to gravity and how that's connected to the solar system, our central sun in our solar system, and the core of this Earth. That's what it is for me. And also then our core is that center part of the body that balances between the sun and the center of the Earth. And why is this helpful to connect to the core? I was always fascinated how the exercise movement became obsessed with the core and strengthening the core. And basically, it's because where the nervous plexus is, and we were getting a lot of stimulation in our society, that instead of being so external focused, to come internal in our focus. That six-pack abs was to get really strong, to kind of give us an internal strength that perhaps is preparing us for these times now, where things seem to be coming at us at a speed we can't control. And maybe we need that physical strength, and I would argue, certainly in my work, the spiritual strength to face the changes coming, which we won't know. And we also don't know who we are as a collective species. We don't know our identity as a species moving forward. There's a lot of question marks. There's question marks about the past and who humanity was, and some people are fixated there. I'm more interested in who we are now becoming, because there is a great potential for us to integrate that spiritual strength into the core of who we are as a species. And that's what I do in my classes. I help you build a very clear knowing of who you are and how that's connected to every single person in the species, whether you know them or not, whether you like them or not. And when we resonate from a clearer sense of our core through the solar plexus area, that front body, and it's much bigger than the solar plexus, it goes up to support the heart. When we know clearly who we are in that core, from the front and the back body and the sides of that core, I call it like our central sun here in our center bodies, you've got something that really anchors you. Think about when we're in utero and the child has that anchor through its belly button to its central source of love through the womb and through the mother. It's like the man who falls to earth and there's no sort of anchor, but that navel cord, umbilical cord, ombligal, that pulls you into earth, into physical reality from some of the place that you came from, like some alien falling to earth. I'm thinking about the movie with David Bowie and the man who fell to earth. It's that sense of coming into the physical in a strong way, pulling way. And so we learn in cultural dance that navel pulling you into a movement is repeating that first movement that we had in utero of the belly button being anchored to our mother's womb and body. And in that strength of that pull, you're starting to feel that strength of being anchored to the physical, to the earth body. Because when we're in utero, our consciousness hasn't fully anchored here at that time until we start to come out into the physical world from our mother. So the solar plexus and that belly button area in the front body is represented in a lot of movement forms. Qigong is where I started to feel the energy form of it. And then I started to feel how it would expand into other movement forms. All world dance uses a form of expansion from that front body, and also of pulling in and coming back into the navel, into the belly button area, into retracting. So what gives you that sense of security when we're looking at the front body? In utero, the child has that sense of being connected to something that it can pull away from and pull into. And for most of us, when we're not in utero, we don't use our belly button to navigate through life. We have to find other things in the world around us. So the whole nervous solar plexus energy, the nervous system there, is working unconsciously 24 hours a day for us, constantly digesting, constantly absorbing information, constantly sensing with the peripheral nervous system that extends from the solar plexus radiation of nerves, to sense where we are in space and where we are in relationship to the thoughts and the field around us. So our solar plexus is constantly working both in a digestive way, what we bring in, but also in a perceptive way and sensing our relation to the world around us. Not just relationships, but the environment, the air, the temperature. You might often think about how you might cover your stomach when you feel a bit cold. And also animals won't expose their belly because it's a very vulnerable area. So it's not just about the internal workings, our belly, our solar plexus area. It's about what we're opening to, and it's how we move forward. So we used to in dance look a lot at what is that ability to move forward from the belly. What are you opening to in terms of connecting with others? And also just how you're moving forward in space. And a lot of us, instead of moving forward from the belly, we learn to move forward from the head. Some of us move forward from the hips or even the pubic bone. Some of us move forward from the chest. So we don't necessarily come back into our belly as a way to move forward in life. We tend to shut that belly down. We tend to harden it with physical activity, like making sure it's got those washboard abs, or we try to make that belly kind of strong and even in some ways resistant to the impacts of life. And some of us are also just lazy and allow our belly to get overly with overconsumption. We might allow our bellies to just become flaccid, not really activated, not able to really receive information. And I would argue that our society has become very passive in the way we think about ourselves as a collective. How do we move forward as a species? We've become a consumer society that overeats, overconsumes everything, social media or noise from mass consciousness. And we've become really passive in the way we relate to our bellies. But the bellies, remember, from that umbilical cord, was our first sense of coming into this physical and a very direct movement. If I look at Afro Samba and some of the really strong dance forms that feel from that navel, that moving forward and pulling back, it's like an explosion of energy. It's like a solar system in itself, the belly button. But we mostly forget about it in our modern world. That's why cultural dance is so important and so impassioned. It allows us to activate those dormant parts of our consciousness that are in the body. And it allows us to sort of also open up to the softness and the strength in the softness of the receptivity of the front body. When we work on our society more from the mind and thinking through our problems, we avoid this resource of being able to feel integrity in the body. The belly button and the front body, the front organs, have an enormous resource when you tap into it to help you feel grounded straight away, to feel connected to who you are, and to create that belly that feels nourished and supported, that supports the heart, that makes you able to lift your heart because you feel nourished, you feel soft but strong here at the same time. So our bellies today are an important resource that, because of overstimulation, overconsumption, or apathy, we haven't really connected to that feeling level of the solar plexus that allows us to really start to feel more grounded and less freaking out with our nervous system and coming into a more harmonious solar plexus area. It's why breathing and meditation, yoga has become so popular, because people just need to ground that energy and get back to their roots, get back to their root anchored here on earth. So you can just start to activate that front belly organ with really simple movements, just breathing into it, putting your hands on your belly, and just go out, put your feet in the grass and feel that anchoring of your nervous system in the solar plexus area, all around the belly button, your upper belly, lower belly. Just allowing that part of your body to feel contact with your hands, if you like to feel contact of your hands on the body, and then anchor it through the feet into the earth. Release all of that radical energy in our world today through just gentle breathing that anchors that belly. And another step, which I invite you to explore, is who are we moving forward? Because our bellies are where we felt that first impulse in utero connected to the umbilical cord. We might pull away or move towards when the mother might have had a movement and we were just pulled along. And then once we came out of utero, we started to experience what it was like to do that by ourselves. This is the time we need our species to really explore how to move forward in dynamic ways, in creative ways, in, I'm not saying rose-colored glasses ways, but in ways that invite everybody to come together. It does not mean things are going to be easy and they happen overnight. So how do we move forward with integrity of the self without judging, criticizing, and using our nervous system that's overreactive and just wants to attack something, or talk a lot and make up stories? How do we come forward with creative solutions that are grounded and also inclusive of others? Our belly here has a lot of resources for us to anchor the nervous system and stop reacting. And to also integrate, if you're being overstimulated, how to release things like your nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system operates a lot through our belly, through our solar plexus and the nerves all around there. So anxiety, when it's not moved, starts to overstimulate that area. And really, those breathing exercises that have become really popular are really just to start allowing the body to relax and release any excess energy it might be picking up. So here is one other part of that central area of our core that I want to open up to look at. How do we get support? And in particular for Dance for Joy, how do we embody it in really exceptionally beautiful ways, is opening up all parts of the center body. So the side, front, and back of that solar plexus area, that area of the body that anchors us from our head to our hips. But it also helps us expand out of maybe thinking forwardly with our heads too much, or thinking with our lower body too much, which wants to just run and exercise excessively, or try to move energy out of the body without necessarily integrating that energy and thinking about, well, I had this experience. How do I know how that relates to me? Or, for example, what I've noticed with the solar plexus area of our lives, of our body, is that sometimes we process or we overeat because we're not really paying attention to all parts of that body. And so we start to stuff it with food. Some of us are the opposite. Sometimes we have so much anxiety there we can't eat. Some of us are overstimulated through the nervous system. So we find that we're not able to connect to others because we're too protective of that soft area of the belly. Others of us are always maybe using exercise as a way to move energy out of our body, but we might not be looking at some of the underlying structural things that our body's telling us. So we use fitness or health as a way to avoid maybe there's something else going on in our belly, which is a very intuitive part of the body that's always trying to process information and give us insight into how we feel about things. But we avoid our feelings because it seems to be, I don't know, too messy. Actually, what I've found that when you start to experience more of that solar plexus region and feel the back body, which can be really connected to through your kidney areas. Kidneys, so 2 kidneys sit just above your waistline. They move a little bit. They're kind of funny. And they sit close to the surface of our mid-back. And they, in dance, provide an incredible way to create balance when you're moving from the back body to the front. So the kidneys are incredible because there's one on each side. So they allow this incredible way to pivot and shift weight through the back body and give more support for that front body. And what I've noticed is that getting that fuller sense of the front and back body starts to dissipate anxiety immediately, because now I'm starting to allow my body to integrate. It could be just from the organ level. It could be just allowing things to process more at that middle level, rather than just letting things run through my body without letting me feel. And our society now is operating at a faster pace where we're not really enjoying feeling into our bodies. It seems like that's a waste of time or an inconvenience or something that maybe I want to do in self-care, but I'll wait till the end of the week to get it done. So it means in our daily lives, the body's just sort of waiting for us to kind of chill out. And it's a really interesting culture. When I ask the question about who are we moving forward, are we going to be constantly in this treadmill and running away from our feelings? That's to me an interesting kind of species. Like, why? Why would you run away from your feelings if that's where you get the most joy or the most simplicity in life or the most ability to receive joy in your life? Why are we constantly chasing after something when it's really easy to get it in the moment? It's a really weird thing. Like, I look at other chimpanzees or monkeys and they get it kind of easy and quick. Why are we so busy running after something and we can't just enjoy it right now? It's a very strange species that we've become. And for me, that front and back part of that central part of our bodies, because we became upright, because we started working with gravity, we didn't really integrate that relationship. It's only through the dance and the qigong that I've seen people really start to feel the magic of that middle part of the body and how it can create this incredible grace and anchor for the center of yourself that helps you expand into all parts of the room and all ranges of movement, that allows natural healing to happen without too much fuss and bother. And also in the dance, there's this delicious sort of comfort when we work with the front and the back bodies. It's almost like you're being hugged again back in utero when you were in a smaller space and you could feel that front and back of yourself being integrated as one whole. When we became more erect, I guess that was the challenge, right? Like, how do we move forward while also remembering why we came here in the first place? And the kidneys are a strange organ if you want to explore them in more depth. We do that in the Dance for Joy classes because the kidneys connect to our life force energy, and they also have a connection to life in general in the cosmos, in this planet, all life forms, because of the chi that's embedded in the kidneys. They're also quite joyful and simple and like to be moving up and down that back body to give that sense of that lift, especially in relation to gravity. And the kidneys, because they are learning how to be erect in our particular species, they also know how to be horizontal. So they've got a really great sense of being upright and being horizontal when we go to bed and rest. So they understand that need for dynamic movement and rest. And I feel like the kidneys also allow us to connect to the life forces that within all animal species are very much connected to who we are, connected to in our ancestry. So in Dance for Joy, we're going to be combining a beautiful way of feeling both that back body around the solar plexus and the front body. How do we feel more open here and connect that to the support from the back body and the kidneys? So if you're free this week in Sydney, come and join us at the Authentic Living Centre, Darlinghurst, November 2nd. And for those of you outside of Sydney, I'll be doing online classes as well, starting November 13. And you can check out the link in the description below for the upcoming online classes as well. So thanks so much for joining. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on who are we moving forward? Where are we going? I don't know, but who are we moving forward as a species?